In the grand Eastern Empire of Fengxuan, the harem was a glittering battlefield, powdered smiles, jeweled hairpins, and poison hidden under silk sleeves. And into that den of beautiful vipers walked Elara, once a forgotten lover, now the newly crowned Empress. The women of the imperial harem bowed as she passed. Their heads were low. Their eyes not entirely. Some glittered with fear. Some simmered with hatred. Some sparkled with opportunity. Because even a new empress is prey until she proves herself predator. And they all remembered she once was the king's white moonlight. A gentle dream. A quiet shadow. A harmless beauty. So they smiled. They whispered. She has no family backing. Just a pretty face, she will fall soon. They believed she came for love. They forgot she came for vengeance. Chapter 1. The first strike. The morning after the coronation, Elara held court from inside the harem. A scandal. A challenge. A warning. Ministers knelt in glittering robes, sweating under her gaze. The Grand Eunuch announced, His Majesty has ascended to the heavens. Her Majesty will rule until the new heir is named, a bold statement. There was no heir. At the back of the harem, concubine May, famous for her beauty, scoffed behind a fan. A woman ruling. The heavens will not allow it. Elara looked at her elegant. Smile like frost. Concubine May. Step forward. The hall held its breath. May walked forward, chin raised. She expected humiliation, not punishment. She was the late king's favorite before Elara returned. She believed she was untouchable. Elara lifted her teacup, voice gentle. In this palace, those who doubt heaven's will ask heaven themselves. Before anyone understood, guards dragged May away, screaming. No trial. No explanation. No mercy. Only the Empress's soft whisper sent her to pray at Koldash Monastery. Forever, everyone understood what that meant. Exile. Silence. Oblivion. A concubine vanished in a single breath. The hall trembled. Elara placed her cup back on its saucer. Continue. That day, the harem learned the moonlight had teeth. Chapter 2. The snake in red silk. 3 nights later, a tray of jasmine wine was offered to Elara. Sweet fragrance. Crystal bottle. Golden stopper. Poison disguised as devotion. The culprit hid behind a group of kneeling beauties, pearls glittering in her hair, lips painted ruby red. Consort you, the most ambitious in the harem. Elara didn't drink. She didn't shout. She only smiled, poured 1 cup and handed it back to you. Since you are so thoughtful, you may drink first. You paled. Everyone watched. Yu's hand shook, then she dropped to the floor. Your Majesty, this concubine dares not. Elara tilted her head. You dare not drink your own gift. Silence, terror. The scent of jasmine sharp in the air. You bowed so low her forehead hit the marble. I offer my loyalty. Elara leaned in, voice soft. Loyalty is witnessed, not spoken. Drink. You drank. Within moments, blood seeped from her lips, red beads on white silk. She died with her eyes wide open. Elara did not look away. Remove the body. And cleanse the floor. The harem didn't whisper again that night. Chapter 3. The real enemy. But palace women were not her only battlefield. Outside the silk walls, nobles plotted. And in the shadows, Lady Isolde, the king's discarded queen, quietly stared. Isolde had not fought Elara's rise. She did not shed tears. She simply disappeared. Rumors whispered she went to a secluded manor. They did not whisper why. Because Isolde had something Elara did not: bloodline, loyal generals, a noble faction, and a rage as cold as iron. She watched from afar as Elara shed blood in silk halls. And she whispered to her mirror, "Let the moon have her night. Dawn belongs to me," for Elara's path was conquest. Isolde's was reclamation. One ruled by fear. The other was building an army. And in Fengxuan, only one woman could sit on the throne. The Moon and the Thorns, War of Two Queens Chapter 4, Dawn breaks in blood. Rumors travelled faster than arrows. From the northern border came whispers, Isolde rides with steel at her back. General Suen, feared, loyal, undefeated, marched beside her, an army of crimson banners rising like a storm. And the court, which once bent in awe of Elara's icy rule, now shook in quiet rebellion. Some ministers knelt before the Empress. Others vanished into the night, seeking Isolde. For while Elara ruled through terror, Isolde commanded loyalty. One once loved the king. The other once loved the people. And the empire trembled between them. Chapter 5. The Empress prepares to kill a nation. Mobilize the Black Guard, Elara commanded. The air was cold as steel around her. She stood in gold battle armor, lacquered black beneath, a moon dipped in night. Seal the city gates. No one enters. No one leaves. The Grand Eunuch hesitated. Your Majesty, this may turn the capital into a grave. Elara's gaze turned razor-sharp. So be it, for she had not clawed her way from heartbreak to crown just to bow now. She had killed love. She had killed her king. She would kill her empire if it dared betray her. Those who choose her live. Those who doubt her burn. Chapter 6. The Forsaken Queen. Far to the south, Isolde stood beneath fluttering red banners. Her hair braided in warrior's style, sword at her hip, armor shining like sunrise. She addressed soldiers and nobles, her voice ringing clear. The empire belongs to peace, not poison. We march not for a crown, but to cleanse it, and the army roared her name. She had been scorned. She had been silent. Now she would be salvation or doom. General Suen knelt beside her. When we reach the capital, no mercy. Isolde's lashes lowered, calm, tragic, resolute. Mercy is for the innocent. That palace has none left. Chapter 7. The first clash. The armies met at Silver Sparrow Bridge. Moon banners on one side. Dawn banners on the other. Wind screamed through arrows. Steel kissed bone. Blood painted the bridge crimson. Elara watched from horseback, composed, terrifying. Isolde marched at the front of her troops, radiant, implacable. Their gazes met over corpses. Once they shared a husband. Once they shared a destiny. Now they shared hatred. Elara raised her hand. Arrows flew like black rain. Isolde drew her blade forward. For the empire. For justice, the world split in two. Chapter 8. When queens bleed. Night fell on the battlefield. Elara moved through the carnage, a silent phantom. Cloak soaked in red. Eyes colder than death. She found a wounded general crawling. He reached for her, sobbing, "Your Majesty, spare." She drove her dagger through his throat without pause. Mercy was a language she had forgotten. Across the field, Isolde knelt beside a fallen soldier, cradling him, whispering blessings over his fading breath. Sheeta bled, a slash across her arm, yet she stood like a goddess carved in grief. Both queens bled. Only one cried. And in the sky above them, the moon slowly sank, as if refusing to witness what love had become. Chapter 9. The final gambit messengers raced through the war-torn land. The capital is barricaded. Isolde controls the outer forces. Elara holds the imperial treasury. The throne waits. The empire no longer had a king. It had two women who refused to kneel. Scholars whispered in terror, "This is not a war for power. This is a war for righteousness, and righteousness is always written by the victor." The army braced for the final siege. And somewhere in the palace, Elara whispered to her blade, "Moonlight does not fade. It consumes the dawn." Far outside the walls, Isolde raised her army's banner. A new sun will rise over her ashes. The drums beat. The gates trembled. History held its breath. Tomorrow would choose a ruler. Chapter 10. Jewel of moon and dawn. The battlefield lay silent. No more war cries. No clashing steel. Only two figures walked toward each other across blood-soaked earth. Elara, in black lacquered armor, hair loose like a midnight storm, eyes like a blade sharpened on betrayal. Isolde, in sun-gold battle robes, sword drawn, face calm, a queen carved from sorrow and steel. No armies followed. No banners flew. This was not a war anymore. This was a reckoning. Chapter 11. Words sharper than blades. They stood a blade's length apart. Elara's voice was soft, but deadly as night frost. All this destruction, for a crown. Isolde's answer was a whisper full of grief. No. For the lives you stole. Elara's lips curved, not in humor, but in disdain. Lives are currency. I paid for power. I earned it. You stained the throne, Isolde replied. You killed the king and the man you once loved. The wind cut between them, colder than steel. Elara's voice dropped, almost gentle. He died the moment he betrayed me. I simply buried the corpse. Isolde's eyes flickered with pain and resolve. Then I bury you today. Chapter 12. The battle begins. Steel met steel in an explosion of sparks. Elara moved like shadow, fast, fluid, merciless. Isolde struck like sunrise, bold, bright, unstoppable. Strike, parry, cut, dodge. Blood splattered across crushed lilies. Every movement echoed history, a love abandoned. A crown stolen. A kingdom shattered. Elara's blade grazed Isolde's cheek. Isolde's sword cut Elara's shoulder. Neither faltered. Neither blinked. Two women. Two fates. One throne. Chapter 13. The breaking point. Elara fainted left, slid behind Isolde, blade to throat. A whisper at her ear, "On your knees." Isolde did not flinch. She slammed her elbow into Elara's ribs, spun, sword at Elara's heart. You kneel first. They froze, breath uneven, faces inches apart. Sisters in suffering. Enemies by destiny. Elara's voice trembled, for the first time. He chose you in the end. Isolde's eyes softened for a single heartbeat. And that killed him. Steel flashed. Mercy died. Chapter 14. The final blow. Elara lunged, a killing strike, desperate, furious, beautiful. Isolde stepped into the blow, accepting the blade into her shoulder, and drove her sword straight through Elara's heart. Their eyes met. Elara exhaled a sound, not a scream, not anger, a sigh. Almost peaceful. She whispered, "I would have burned the world for him." Isolde held her as she fell. You did. Elara's fingers loosened. Her blade dropped to the dirt. Moonlight touched her face one last time, and the darkness claimed her. Chapter 15. When dawn hurts, Isolde stood alone, sword dripping red, arm trembling from pain and victory. The battlefield was silent. The moon fell. The sun hesitated to rise. The throne was hers. But as she looked at Elara's still form, a tear traced her cheek, not for the woman she killed, but for the world they might have built if fate had been kinder. May the heavens forgive what we could not. She turned away, crown waiting, empire watching, history rewriting itself in her footsteps. She had won. And yet, victory tasted like sorrow and ash. Epilogue I, the Empress who rose from ashes, the drums of war faded long ago, yet the empire still smelled of smoke. And in the golden palace of Fengxuan, where love had died and ambition had bled, Isolde ascended the dragon throne. She wore white only once, on the day she buried Elara. After that, she dressed in crimson and gold, colours of victory and warning. The ministers knelt trembling as she spoke her first decree. This empire will be rebuilt in justice. The court applauded. The people praised her name. Songs called her the Dawn Empress. But in the quiet of her chambers, Isolde often stood alone, staring at the throne, hearing echoes of steel on flesh and a woman's final breath. She had won the crown. Yet peace did not come. For the throne gives power, not forgiveness. Chapter 1. The crown weighs every night. Isolde dreamed of the battlefield. Every morning she woke to whispers. Her hand trembled today. The war scar still bleeds. A woman who kills another woman for power, dangerous. She crushed rebellions. She imprisoned traitors. She executed those loyal to Elara before they could rise. The people saw firmness. The court saw strength. But paranoia does not shout, it whispers. And Isolde's heart, once pure with resolve, now flinched at shadows. Chapter 2. Blood on the silk. One evening, the palace served tea as golden lanterns swayed in palace gardens. A noble offered a cup, hand steady, face calm. Isolde stared at it. The scent was jasmine, Elara's favourite. She slapped the cup from his hand, porcelain shattered, tea staining the ground like blood. Gasps filled the hall. She whispered, trembling, "Who told you to bring me this?" The noble fell to his knees, terrified. "Your Majesty, it is simply tea, was it? Or prison? Or a memory meant to haunt?" In the Empire's most secure palace, the Empress felt hunted by ghosts or enemies she could not see. No assassination attempt had come. But fear itself was sharper than any blade. Chapter 3. The Portrait Hall. One night she walked alone to the Hall of Ancestors, where portraits of past rulers watched in eternal judgment. At the end of the hall stood two unfinished canvases, one for the king she lost, one for the queen she killed. She touched the empty frame meant for Elara. "Had I spared you, would we have survived?" Silence. The moonlight through the window was cold, a silent reminder of the woman she buried with her own hands. A voice echoed behind her. "Empress, you must not be alone so late." Her guard captain bowed deeply. Isolde's fingers curled tight around her robe. She had allies. She had power. So why did she feel the palace closing around her like a gilded cage? Chapter 4. Rise of the Shadow Court. Soon, reports reached her. A secret network of nobles whispering Elara's name, assassins vanishing into the night before capture. Missives found sealed with a silver moon emblem. They called themselves the Crescent Court. A rebellion in smoke and whispers. They swore to bring back Elara's legacy. Isolde clenched her fist around her scepter. I ended her. I ended that chapter, but some legacies do not stay dead. They echo in loyalty, memory, devotion. And every day, more nobles secretly bowed to the crescent moon, not the rising sun. The war was not over. It had only changed shape. Chapter 5. The Empress alone in the dead of night, with all the palace asleep. Isolde whispered into the dark, "I won, didn't I?" No answer. Just the rustling of curtains, and the moon staring down at her, pale, silent, unforgiving. In shadows somewhere deep in the palace, unseen eyes watched her. A whisper like breath on silk, "Long live the moon."